Welcome to Gem Collectors Show with Shawn. I am Shawn, and we have a fantastic show planned for you today. And got your comments from last week. All problems should be corrected. And wait till you see what I am going to be featuring today. We have new items. We have deeply discounted sale price items, and some also going to have the opportunity, I think, to get to an educational segment or two. Or let's just call it Shawn poking fun at himself. Yes, we're going to get to the Galena Geode story. All right. That said, we have some regular comments. So we're not doing trivia right now, but I'm deciding. I may do a what am I at the end of today's show. We'll see how today's show goes. I have brought in the other items I've been gathering for that. That's what, like I said, that we would have an occasional pop quiz trivia, and we would do occasional what am I's because I enjoy doing that as well, and I know all of you do. Also, it is a way often to get to buy the items that you learn from and on. Okay, Shawn at gems.com. That's all it takes to be able to leave a comment. And so we have some comments. We'll get to those and then we will start the show. So the first comment is from Mr. Anthony, who we have not heard from in a while. Mr. Anthony in Massachusetts. Hello, all. Been a little wild in my neighborhood. Listen to this. Some may or may not have heard the Karen Reed trial. Even down here in the South, you'd have to have your head in the sand if you hadn't heard that trial. But yes, so that said, I think most of us listening have heard of that heavily publicized trial. So Mr. Anthony goes on to say, I'll keep it short. Myself and others, friends and family, knew some of the players involved. The incident took place 2 towns away, and the courthouse is half a mile from my house. That would be Mr. Anthony's house. It's over now until it's over case. It's been 2.5 years since the Boston police officer, John O'Keefe, was murdered. So, wow, you are probably glad to get some of that traffic publicity all and away from your area. Scored the Ammonite specimen. I was wondering who was going to be quick enough on the draw to get that piece. And my old ex-business partner and I had a term for a purchase like that. We call it making money on the buy. And let me just explain that, how we mean that. Okay, so if a diamond regularly sells for $1,000, and let's say it regularly costs, believe me, no one really doubles their money in diamonds anymore, but let's just go with that margin. Let's say the normal cost that it would cost me is $500. A wholesale cost, right? Retail 1,000, I have to pay $500 for it. If I am able to buy that stone less than I could buy it in my regular wholesale market, then I have purchased it for less than my average or normal cost. Therefore, I have made up the difference. So let's say I am able to buy that diamond either through a what I call a secondary market, from a friend, from a pawn shop, from another, let's say, desperate diamond wholesaler going out of business or something like that. And I buy it for $250 when I normally would pay $500 for it. That difference between what I paid less than the wholesale and that is making money on the buy. In other words, I then put my cost of the item in as $500 and sell it for $1,000. In doing that, I've made $250 on the buy. And that's what I mean by you already make money on the buy when you buy something less than you could otherwise in any other market. That ammonite piece, ammonite, with which of course is the original fossil, having been chemically altered to aragonite, creating that beautiful dispersion of light and becoming the other organic gemstone, or I guess maybe the newest organic gemstone, called ammonite. So that specimen having primary blues and purple tones and in between, the value of it, especially the natural surface and not being a doublet or not being all this resinated seal that they put so much resin on the top that it actually is the entire surface area, leaving it evenly domed like it was a cabochon polish, right? When you see the natural wavy surface of it, you know there's just a thin layer of a sealant. And other than that, you're dealing with a natural surface. That's what you want for the good stuff. So that piece in what Mr. Anthony paid for it and what he got for it was making money on the buy. And I'm glad to see that. I appreciate you letting me know who that you got that item and where it went, and who was quick enough and clever enough on the draw to recognize the value in that item. So he says, summer is here, hot, 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 eyes down. Oh, wow, is it ever? And I already just got our power bill. It was twice. It is twice. Luckily, I'm on the average billing, but next year they've already told me how much more a month it's going to go up, which adds, I think, another $90 a month to my average billing for electricity. So not only, and I was doing some comparison, you know, electricity is kind of chemistry and kind of goes along with things I'd be interested in, especially the generation of electricity and all the different means are end up to be a geological phenomenon. Whether you use fossil fuels or whether you use water turbine power, you know, water turbine spins the turbines, or whether you wind turbine. So wind, of course, has everything to do with geology and the weathering of items. Water, wow, the hydrological importance of water in mining and in the moving of gold through streams. So I can relate to all the methods of generation of power and electricity itself, because the first electrical currents, they may not have been able to detect them, but somehow the ancients realized that quartz, tourmaline, our bones, which is hydroxyapatite, put off an electrical current. Minor, but it is measurable. And we're going to do that for another one of the educational segments. I did it years ago, where I actually had quartz crystals and apatite and tourmaline are the three main ones. And with a good voltmeter, you can actually generate enough electricity by pressing on a crystal, right kind of crystal, and measure that. So that's where science becomes, well, the metaphysical beliefs become science-based reality in a lot of cases when you have things like that. So anyway, electricity has gone up. And then, of course, the weather. Yeah. Whether it's be super cold or super hot, it is definitely different than what it used to be. And so is my power bill. Okay, Miss Cindy in Pennsylvania. She says, hello, Rock family. Wonderful show again, Shawn. Gotta love that copper sphere. Wasn't that neat? Miss Gabby mentioned lightning made me think of the most spectacular lighting I have ever seen. We were leaving Fort Benning, Georgia, around 10 p.m. to return to Pennsylvania. A thunderstorm was happening. The lightning was huge bolts that were striking the ground. It was that magnificent. I will always remember the power of it. We fished Lake Eufaula. I have to. And the Chattahoochee while we were down there. Took a day to drive to the Gulf of Mexico. Not ever the Gulf of where? I don't know any other place but Gulf of Mexico, in my opinion. So many side stories happened on that trip. 20-something, wild and free. No GPS, no cell phones. I remember those. It seems like fleeting moments now, but when I realized my entire teenage years, and I can relate it to my son. I remember he was one of the first children in his class to have a phone, and of course I was divorced, so I wanted to be able to contact him outside of his mother, and it was when he was 12 years old. So I used that and I plugged that his age in and added to the year he was born to give me an idea when cell phones really were catching on. He was still the first in his class at age 12. Now, of course, they have him at age 7. So, and the first. So that kind of is a guideline. Um, so when I think of that, I think, yeah, so I spent all of my 20s without a cell phone, GPS, and all that other, and I spent all of my 30s, for the most part. And when I think, and I see these old movies, and they have the phone recording machine, or they have the touch tone phone, or the phones that the only way you could get any privacy was to have a really long stretch extension cord. Of course, none of this wireless phone things. So there was a tremendous sense of peace. But I wonder now, in the case of emergency, like, I remember it was one of the greatest excuses, to be past your curfew, was to be able to say, well, Mom, there wasn't a phone anywhere nearby. And that could always, well, you could always stop, but that could always buy you some time. You could say, well, the only phone was in a bad area of town, ways to play it. Now, no, you don't have any of those easy out excuses that you used to be able to use on your parents. And they can track you the whole time if they want. They can put a secret GPS on your car you don't even know about. Yes, oh, it was so much easier in my day to get away with things. So back to the heat. We broke record heat today. My back door thermometer in the shade was 100 degrees. My front door thermometer in the full sun was 121 degrees. And wow, that is hot. And I saw where it's actually hotter up there than it is here in Georgia. Yeah, though it is plenty warm enough here. And I'm sorry, I don't get used to it. I've even gotten, I would rather be in really cold weather year round than a Georgia summer. It just sends me indoors. Can't go outdoors for any amount of time. And but that's the older I've gotten. When I was young, put me out on the beach with my cooler and friends, and that beating down sun. Now the thought of a day on the beach, it would be a morning on the beach, and yeah, I don't care what people think about me. It would be black socks, tennis shoes, and shorts with a plaid shirt and a big funky hat on with headphones and my metal detector. Who cares what people say about me and how I look? I'm the one laughing to the bank. For those of you that hadn't heard my story before, remember I operated a buying office for a good number of years in Chamblee, Georgia. A lot of people, of course, go down to Florida, find their treasures, come up here, and establish selling relationships. And I had these people that would bring in, and one guy, I'd say, let me guess, you been to Florida? And he said, yeah. And he'd just show me everything and sell it to me, gold that he would find. The number of people that will take things out and set them on their beach blanket or in their shoe. Oh, believe me, I have heard every combination of story for how things are lost. Either the ones made up by the guy that you don't know are really true or not, because his, and this is in my story, his wife, or a lot of times new wife, is standing next to him, and he's sticking to his story, and I'm just looking at him, that really happened that way, huh? Because a lot of times, remember, water. This is a good moment to tell all of you. If your ring is even slightly loose on your finger, and you go swimming in any body of water, even if it's a warm body of water, water does two things. If it's colder than your body temperature, in other words, if the water feels cool, it's going to shrink your finger. And then water acts as a lubricant. So between the combination of those two, and if your ring is a little bit loose, before you know it, your ring, once it is off your hand and you are, past the tide line right there, and you don't have a metal detector, you might as well say goodbye to your ring. You will never find it. It's gone. It's gone. So between the lost Spanish doubloons going back, oh my gosh, centuries, that are washing up on the shores, especially after all the hurricanes in Florida and whatnot, and the kids meaning the 20-year-olds that are newly married or are just not used to having jewelry on, will set their jewelry on the blanket or in their shoe. But before then, they realize that they're supposed to put their jewelry back on. They take the blanket and they flip it and shake it out of the sand, right? there goes the ring flying through there somewhere, never to be found, except by an old guy with long hair, a gray beard, black socks, and a plaid shirt, and he's coming along and he's scooping up all the treasure that is left behind daily. What treasures do you know that get refreshed every day? So, Panama City in Florida, for those of you, Fort Lauderdale, Daytona Beach. I used to live in Sarasota, so I know. Thousands of people recycle on those beaches every day, go through that process of potential loss every day. It is a naturally self-replacing treasure hunt down there. The only way I'd be able to stand the heat to do it, though, would be in the wintertime or just as the sun was rising, maybe. But maybe. Finding treasure, that's like gold fever. If you forget anything about, needing water, needing to take care of yourself, you may be burning up, but if you are finding treasure, it's so sweet. So I'm still looking for that moment. All right. Okay, so she finishes with, enough from me. Hope to hear more from the Rock family in the comments. And she prays for the safety of my son in this mess. And I'll add to it for all of our other military men and women across the globe. Prayers to all of you. Miss Penny and Mahalis from Quebec. Hello, Shawn, the very lovely Raven, amazing GSN crew and fellow Rockhounds. I hope this finds everyone well. Thank you for another educational show. Love that Ammolite specimen. There you go, Mr. Anthony. There you go. You got the treasure. My two other faves of the week are the Michigan copper specimen, so 2 mentions about that, and the copper sphere. Wow, the radioactive shark's tooth was fascinating. Yeah, and I looked on the comments that you can place on the YouTube site. So if you go to YouTube and pull up the show that way, there's an area that people can leave comments to. And another person that probably doesn't normally comment in this realm posted about how cool that shark's tooth was, the megalodon tooth. And I think part of the cool part was that I was able to show origin based on its radioactivity, but that, especially for a tooth that size, just how radioactive something like that can be. And and I've had hundreds of megalodon teeth, of some upwards of approaching. I think the biggest I had was 6 1/4 inches. So 6 1/4 to 6 1/2 inches is really huge. You hit a 7-inch mark, and it's like especially without 7-inch with full corners. Expensive tooth and very large tooth, but I've had them close to that size, nice teeth, and none of them have ever registered that high in a count per minute for radioactivity. Natural radioactivity, of course, due to it being buried in the phosphate beds of Florida, which has a radioactive component due to it breaking down into phosphogypsum. But we talked about that last week. So for a tooth to be that size, as small it was, and put out that much radioactivity, I wouldn't want that to be drilled and worn around my neck. But it makes me also wonder just how many people might be in that situation and just not realize it. Most of the tourist places that sell those kind of things, or even nice jewelry stores, unless you get a geek like me, a weirdo like me, who's going to, willing to spend the $1,200, $1,500 on a high-end Geiger counter, they're not going to know. And they're not going to even realize that they're probably radioactive unless they searched it on the internet and came across it somehow. So, it's not anything devious or wrong. And, even at 800 or 1,000 counts per minute, technically that's okay. I just have certain limits that are lower. And then it's also for the purpose. If you got that shark's teeth, loved it, and wore it every day against your chest, I don't know. I can't imagine that being a good thing. So It's not like you can go in though and in a place and say, is it radioactive? You know, the R word scans people running like Latif. And then they wouldn't even know how to answer it. They'd say, of course not, because they really didn't know that it probably was ever could be radioactive. So knowledge, knowledge is the key to so much understanding. All right, let's see. Going on from Miss Penny. After saying that radioactive shark's tooth was fascinating. Your explanation about the fern fossil, fossil fuels, natural gas, etc., was quite enlightening. It all makes perfect sense now. And thank you for that, Miss Penny. That matters a lot because people can hear that term so many times, fossil fuels, and I bet it never actually registers. You know, what exactly why is the term fossil even being used in relationship to gasoline or coal burning, you know, or natural gas or fracking? What is fracking? You know, people don't know it. They just hear what they're supposed to root for or against. And yeah, unfortunately, now she's mentioning the other items. The colors, including your skin tone, looked terrible. Everything looked like Trump's face. I think it's time to turn on the overhead fluorescence. That's it for now. Mahalis and I wishing everyone a wonderful week and hope to see you next week, Penny and Mahali. Yeah, you have some truth to that. And problems solved. Okay, so we have no trivia, so that ends the comment section. And you know what? With that, we can go straight to the first item of the show. How fun is that? Look at this. Now, out of all the amazing specimens I've had, this is the only one I have ever had in this quality and size and crystalline shape. And it is a true educational piece for a lot of different reasons. So let's start off with the word lepidolite. I hate to tell you this, but they have tossed the word lepidolite for use when it comes to that type of mica. They have replaced it, and this actually isn't written down. I just had to memorize it and learn it so I could sound educational. Replaced it with polylithionite dash trilithionite. Say what? Yeah. That is now the new word for lepidolite. Lepidolite, actually, they say that because chemically it can vary, and it varies in a range from what is known as a polylithionite to a trilithionite. And so that's the name. You know what? Lepidolite is going to go on being used for a long time because of that substitution. This is a amazing piece. It's also a floater crystal. In other words, a crystal that was not attached to another. And you can see that by looking at all the sides, and you don't see also where this has been, like you can with muscovite. Okay, muscovite mica is very easy in most pieces to separate the sheets. And you can see that even though this is a phyllosilicate, it doesn't have the kind of flexibility in being able to split sheets off like you can with muscovite. Okay, now this is the whole crystal, and it's rare. It's rare. It's from the Virgin de Lapa mine, so we know right where it's from. And this is one of the most attractive colors there is. Look at that. Look at that. We're good. And being able to see through that entire piece, it's like, wow, can you facet it? Well, there's several reasons you can't, the perfect cleavage, etc. But it's also like a hardness of 1.5 to 2. So no. Now, why I'm doing this, I want to show you something. You can see I used the term phantoms. And you get that by looking at this through the back. And here, right at the edge, you can see. Look at that. You can see that edge perfectly. You see, follow that inner. There we go. If I back that out and do that, you can see the inner crystal. Look at that. It is the inner crystal of it is really well defined, and the 6 sides go all the way around it. Now let's turn it around this way and see what we can see. There we go. You can look at this. So you can see right down here. Look at that. You can see that perfect. There we go. There we go. Do we have almost the whole thing there? There we go. We do. We can see the inner crystal, and then so a later generation of lepidolite. That's perfect. That's beautiful. Oh, that's even better. That's perfect. Thank you. Look at that. All right, so for this piece not to have sold, look at all the, oh, here, let me show you one more. So this straight edge here, if you imagined it expanding out, let's see, there might have even been what would have been a larger, another phantom. But if you look in inside this one, you can see potentially where it grew on top of some others. But this is a fantastic piece. It is, it's going to beat anything else you have in your collection for the beautiful lavender purple color that this is so well known for. Now remember, lepidolite can be other colors. It can be a whitish color, creamish color, and whatnot. But this is the money color. This is the one that people associate it with, but not usually this rich in purple. So only one I have, and you know what? I'll even include a stand with it. I think what would look good is a smaller stand so that, let's see how that looks there. Yeah, yeah. So you see even less plastic, that's perfect. In that way, I'm going to include the stand. I am going to break out of my cheapness, and I am going to include a stand on that. I'm just looking at how wonderful. There we go. That's perfect. That is amazing. Thank you. Okay. So sale price on this one. Yeah, this is how much was yeah, I thought it was around that. Was it 228? Yeah. So this was $228. And believe me, if you are a collector or know this kind of quality of material, it's worth every penny of it. But I tell you what, big sale on this. You know what I'm looking at right now? Hey, check this out. Tell me if you don't see it, Latif. As I'm looking at, look at the, you can see the phantom. Here it is. Here's the inner crystal. You see that? There is at that angle. We didn't have to backlight it, but you can see it backlighting it. But there is the perfect hexagonal inner crystal to that. That's pretty neat. It was like I used to get this magazine called Highlights, and it had a picture in it, and you were supposed to pick out all the little different creatures or whatever the topic might be out of it. And sometimes it's right there and you don't see it, and then all of a sudden, boom, it dawns on you. And that's what I'm thinking of that just happened with that phantom. That's a perfect angle for that. Anyway, here's a huge discount on this, and $148. $148, and that will put you in a stunning high quality. Look how big this is. See that? That's just not a little piece. So this in for the collectors that like this, it has everything going for it. Everything going for it. Excellent value. All right, I am going to show you now something. Well, we got some neat fun things coming up. But first, this is also 127-1925. 127 1925, and we're good right here. Check this out. Look at this. Now, this, I don't know where to start on it. I actually, of course, this we've offered this for sale before. Nobody has taken me up on it. Okay, so we pulled it out, and then waited a while. I thought, well, let me check this out again. Okay, well, in doing that, I just, again, remember I'll never forget my own story between the green tourmalines and all of a sudden they were green zircons. All that time had gotten the parcel down to $38 for all three. And wow, then I finally took the time to look at it a little closer. I kind of was wondering why they weren't selling and realized they were zircons. And also how I verified that was using a Geiger counter. Zircon has a way of having a reading. All right, so I was checking this out a little closer. Look at this. Look at these crystals. Look at these. All right, so this is beautiful. All right, now, this at one time, here, okay, so many things. One of the identifying ways of mineral specimens, one of the terms that you'll hear used is the type of fracture it has. A fracture can be irregular, it can be uneven, it can be subconchoidal, but the primary one you'll see and very easy to identify is the ones with conchoidal fracture. Conchoidal fracture is what glass does. And the glass-related minerals, in other words, like silica. Glass is mostly made up of silica, remember. This, of course, is quartz, which is silicon dioxide. And a conchoidal fracture is a half moon, partial moon, to almost a full moon type of sliver out of a piece that leaves, I want to say conchoidal meaning inwards, inward split. Often it'll also have semicircular rings within it. This not so much due to the quartz. So there's an education on what type of fracture that is. And subconchoidal is a close version of that. All right. Now, that is still not what is so fantastic about this. Now, let me just do this, and I'm good. Let me backlight this for you. So I got to looking at this, and I got to look at it even closer. So backlighting is always beautiful. And thanks, Latif. Let me show you something I discovered on this that I didn't notice before. So we'll have to probably rediscover this together. So I was looking at these, and what I was trying to figure out, you see that green color in this? I was making sure that these weren't epidote crystals, because epidote can form in quartz and often will have that olive green color tone to them. There, you can see it right in that crystal there. Ah, perfect, perfect. And so, and epidote will have a similar prismatic type of crystal, but I unless there's a odd epidote crystal maybe in there, I didn't really find anything that screamed epidote to me. Now, let me get my, hold on one sec. Here we go. Let me show you what I found really interesting. Look at these little needle crystals. And, you know, when you look at it without magnification, you don't see these. Look at all these little fun, beautiful, smaller crystals that are coming off of the primary ones. And I thought that that was really attractive, that something you don't see. Now, in doing that, let me see if we can find what else I saw that also told me it was tourmaline more than anything else. And that is, let's see here, we have to find it again, because it obviously wasn't discovered before, because it was still, no one had bought it. There is a crystal that is half of it exposed. There it is right there. And it's a watermelon tourmaline. So let me see if I can get the light on that right to be able to show you the pink center portion of it. Let me see. Let me get this other light. Let me change. Yeah, hold on. I'm going to change this in a second. Let's do this. And let me try that. Now that did not work. Yeah. Okay. So it is, I believe, right in there. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
Also, there's lots of these super, super strong irises throughout this piece that are just standouts. Okay, right here. Is that what you, and right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. It is a watermelon center.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, perfect.
See?
Yep, right there. And oh, I see. Look at the difference. I see it much better on that other monitor. That's why. I see it much better on that other monitor. Okay, so right in there is your watermelon. So instantly that told me it was tourmaline. So now, there's something even more magnificent besides all these little miniature crystals. And this one was much trickier to discover. Let me show you. I have the word phantom in there, right? And I have the word indicolite. Let me present you first. Look at all of these. You've seen phantom layers in the quartz crystals before, right? That I've shown you where they have the, looks like little dust in between the layers, where you have that in this angle showing there. But let me show you something a little more obvious. If I turn this around, get ready, because this has been available for sale to everyone and no one has picked this up or noticed it. This is a layer of indicolite, little miniature, and we'll bring this to you, play with it for a minute so we get the color. Miniature little indicolite crystals that, there we go. Ah, bingo. Okay, here we go. This entire layer, and you can see how abrupt it stops. And as we go out this way, you can see it gets narrower, but you can still see the small crystals. And let me see if I can. And then it fades out. But as you go this way, look at this. Now I'm going to turn this in a way so we can try to show you the blue in this a little better, because it is the classic color indicolite that you see in when you get them in the tourmaline and quartz. And so it is this layering like this that is absolute phantoming. So another layer of quartz building up on top of another layer that is completely different. Let me show you from above for a moment so you can see what you're looking at. See all these little crystals here? And let me see if I can turn this in a better way to be able to feature those. There we go. You can see the blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm still looking at the wrong monitor. Look at those. So this is what we were looking at.
That one.
These are micro indicolite crystals, which is really unique and really cool. And then look at that neat big crystal at the end. And then the way they form that phantom layer around there. Look at that. I guarantee who cut and polished this, whoever did that, knew they were there, knew to not cut through it. So this offers all kinds of learning possibilities. You could cut this, you could cut that out, you could create several other desk type pieces or paperweight type pieces. This is a educational piece as well. Very educational. All right. Besides, I put it on sale as well, even after discovering that it was as cool as it really is. So, giving you the opportunity on this item now at a wow, 1,120 carats. How about this? $47. Only $47 on that one. Take advantage of it. Now, what I have next for you is a combo item, kind of like before and after. 127 1825. 127 1825. And first, I will put this right up there. Okay, so study on that. You need the info. Let me put this quartz up. I have something else that goes along with that piece. And here, you have the bag for this one. Just match it up. I have the bloodstone. Look at this. Here's the bloodstone. And this is just the bottle. Now I have a little just rim here that to protect it so it doesn't chip it. But look at that. You can actually use that as a perfume bottle or whatever else you may want to use it for. And look at this. Look at the cap. Look at the cap. And it just has a kind of a look how I want to show agate and which a lot of people don't know what bloodstone actually is. Some people call it jasper and whatnot. It's technically a cryptocrystalline quartz, but it can contain other different minerals, which is why you get some of your other colors. Bloodstone itself, the actually red parts in bloodstone, is due to iron impurities. And the green part of bloodstone, do you have that bag? That bloodstone bag? There's a little info card in there. Yeah. So the green in bloodstone, if sometimes you get it translucent, you'll find that you can see portions that are chlorite. It's chlorite. Other times it is a very thickly woven with hornblende. This is a super high quality piece of bloodstone. Yeah, this is a entire special specimen that I've kept for a long time. And it has just the stunning reds in this that you want to see. Like, look at this area. Look at that. And it's Indian bloodstone, which of all the bloodstones is actually the world's best. You have Madagascar bloodstone, but what ends up with some of the Madagascar material is you get a lot of other yellows and other mixed colors in blending in with the red. And that is less desirable. Your most desirable is actually a black base with the red, but that is almost impossible anymore. That was found and known in ancient times. And yeah, so the green is what you see now. And it carves well, but you have to treat it like a agate or a hardness of 7. Now, let me continue to show this piece because it is a one I've had for a long time, and I thought if I ever needed to do something amazing with bloodstone, I would have the piece to do it with, and this is really it when you examine it. Let me just put this close and then catch the light. There we go. And then yeah, you can look at all the red. So this you can saw up in many different directions. It is oh, by the way, here is another perfect example of concordal fracture. It is concordal fracture. Remember, this is silica too. That it allows Indian heads. It allows Native Americans to be able to carve and create their tools, including arrowheads and whatnot, because of that sharp edge that when you create a fracture or a chip at the edge, it gives you that really easy to cut your finger on edge, which I was well known to do. Now, hold on. Since you're there, Latif, you can see on the surface, you get sometimes some of these other colors I was talking about, but you can see the red spots all over throughout this. Now, this is a surface oxidation for the most part, but this speaks volumes when you see just the red and the green in this large of a piece. This, when I looked at bloodstone, the cabochones, how much they were charging for it became it seemed to be more than a semi-precious stone. This actually goes back in time to the Christian era, where they did associate the red with, of course, drops of Jesus's blood, because, as I guess legend, myth has it, when he was on the cross and the blood dropped, there was a deposit of this is well, I wouldn't say fact, but this is the story that has traveled with it, that the blood dropped onto a deposit of green agate, and hence it became known as bloodstone. So it's one of the ancient stones, and it is the original birthstone for March. Later, of course, aquamarine was made the birthstone, but I tell you what, Raven, being the purist that she is, liking the original, and it's her birthstone, she would much prefer the bloodstone than aqua to be her birthstone. So here is the bottle showing some nice colors as well, a kind of a before and after that you can have together, and even the top. So I have a fantastic opportunity. Both of those, you're not gonna believe this, for $38. Yep, $38. And I even have in the description you'll see where it is from, Morbai Gujarat. I won't really try to pronounce that any more than that, but we have the exact location where the bloodstone is even mined from. A great item. All right, give me a moment. Let me put these up, and I'll be right back. Never have I ever, never have I ever offered a combination like this. Check this out. So this is a little bit better than before and after. It's before, after, and after again. You start off with a quartz crystal. Here is a wonderful Brazilian quality quartz crystal. All the natural faces are there. This is a great classic crystal to learn from as far as how quartz should look and the internal parts of it. Now, when quartz is big enough, look at what you can make out of it. Look at this. This is, and people wonder when they see what they think are breaks or fractures or whatever you may want to call them. Well, point is, if what I always tell people, if this can go through all of the amount of machinery it takes to be able to grind that out, polish it, and whatnot, and it hasn't fallen apart or broken, then it passes the lapidary test, and therefore it's very sturdy, and it can hold anything that you want. Now, here's the other item. This is one of the largest ones. This is larger than the spheres I offered a couple weeks ago. This is larger than, it is certainly rock crystal quality, and you can see rock crystal being a name they give quartz, it is of a high grade quality that is. Now, I was just thinking of some fun different ways you can, play around with it. Then I did this, okay? All of a sudden I put it in there and I spun it like that. And I was mesmerized. Look at how long that spins without me even trying to lubricate the bottom or play with it like a guy or a little boy might, and see just how long you can get that to spin. It's kind of like a top. And I thought that was, it looks like an owl actually in the inside, a barn owl with blue eyes. You know what? You can go anywhere in the world when you have fun optical items like that. So while I mesmerize you into purchasing this combination of 3 pieces, because you know what? I cannot put this combination again out of what I have. This is it. You get one chance. This is it. And so while you're being mesmerized with that, let me finish a couple comments I wanted to mention regarding the bloodstone. So one of the reasons, because I was talking about the price, one of the reasons they talk about a shortage of bloodstone is due to the fact that they are powdering it up in India and in Asia, and they're using it for medicinal purposes and an aphrodisiac. So, you know, once you get an association of aphrodisiac with something, you know, then it can drive some large sales. Problem is, I also at the same time read an article about the United States' worst industrial accident. And I bet nobody, well, I know nobody here could tell me what it is. Very few Americans would ever know what it is, but I just gave you a hint by talking about powdered bloodstone. So, what is bloodstone? We had just mentioned it is a silica, has silica. So, it's related to chalcedony, or it's simply silicon dioxide. The same thing that was at a hydroelectric dam project that they had to build a tunnel through in West Virginia. Within 2 years, 700 miners had died of silicosis. That's the powder ground. It's the ground powder of quartz. So what they had to drill through was nothing but a solid block of quartz. And it was completely environmentally and health-wise known that that would be dangerous. But the mining company, for speed and efficiency, ignored, of course, all that and didn't use water in the drilling process. When you think of it and tag the term worst industrial accident in the United States, then, you know, it should get attention, but it didn't. Many people were buried the day they were just die on site, coughing up blood. It acts like little fine ground glass in your lungs. Silicosis is worse than brown lung, which you get from coal dust, etc. So, just a cautionary tale if any of you want to go grinding up your bloodstone and powdering it for other uses. So they think, anyway, that puts a demand on bloodstone, is using it for those purposes. Yeah. And one other thing, heliotrope, if you ever hear that term, heliotrope is the other thing I wanted to mention. The old original Greek, of course, you know, Greek name's got to be in there somewhere, meaning turn towards the sun, roughly meaning that. And it is gotten that kind of moniker due to the way it reflects light when it is wet. And so play with it if you get the bloodstone and see if it has a different effect for you in looking at it in different ways when it is wet. Be kind of interesting. Okay, so these 3 items. Here's the other thing I thought. Okay, take the bowl upside down. You can see how much fun I have. And not this base, but another base. And you can put this like that and make a neat display that way. Or just put some of that sticky goop right there. Oh, it makes me want to do that. And make it invisible. I used to have some goop right here around the corner, but someone took my goop. Wouldn't that look neat? It'd like look magical. Quartz is magical. It truly is, from everything from being a first quartz crystal for radios, etc., and then for it is Silicon Valley. Say no more. Silicon Valley. Quartz and the element in it, silicon, is what has driven the United States to the point that it is by way of industrialization and being number 1, of course, in electronics, etc. All right. Come up with your own neat little stand for it, because that little base I had won't work. Remember what Miss Cindy said, using the little inexpensive hemalike or hematite ring bases, things like that. Think out of the box. It should work. Come up with something clever. All right, all 3 pieces as part of this collection for you is a rare opportunity, and I again have priced items to make it kind of easy to be able to say yes and realize what value you're getting. Only $47 for all three. $47 for all three items, and that I cannot put together those three pieces again. This is as good a quality as you can get in a nice rock crystal, unless if it's totally clean and nothing in it, then think and worry about it that it is a synthetic quartz or a glass. Beautiful crystal here, and a wonderful bowl that you can use with for whatever you want. One thing I do know that ladies have found in using this bowl, if you get in the good habit of, is putting it right next to your sink or right next to your bed and putting your jewelry in there. I would line it with a little bit of felt for a moment and just have one neat little place that you get in the habit of putting it. All right, next, I have something also I have never offered before because I wanted to keep them up. This is item 1272725. 1272725. And what this entails is, check this out. All right. Now, you haven't seen these before. Mosasaur teeth. Mosasaur teeth. And now, the mosasaur, you're going to be familiar with what a mosasaur is. Obviously, it's a dinosaur. And the mosasaur is the dinosaur that at the end of, I don't know which Jurassic Park episode it was. There were so many of them. But at the end, well, it actually appeared two times. The one where the woman that was babysitting the boys that came to visit their aunt. Okay. Yeah, okay, the redhead. It shocked me when the babysitter was trying to find them and she got tossed into the I would normally say where the dolphins swim. She got tossed into the pool, and up from below comes a mosasaur and eats her. So the babysitter, I don't know whether they tossed her in the air and ate her then, but the episode where the babysitter of the two boys that came to visit their aunt, she was eaten by a mosasaur. They are aquatic. The other one was, I think it was the very last movie, wasn't it? Where it was the mosasaur that came and didn't get. Now remember, T-Rex, he always comes back to save everyone, right? The Tyrannosaurus Rex. But there was the genetically modified Tyrannosaurus Rex that was getting the upper edge, and in the very end, who came to the T-Rex's help was a giant mosasaur that came out and helped and attacked the genetically modified Tyrannosaurus. So that said, the mosasaur plays a big role, not only in the excitement and, well, natural way that the mosasaur has been displayed is probably very accurate. It was a very aggressive animal, and it really ruled the oceans. It existed prior to the megalodon. So the megalodon is more of a recent, after the big meteor destroyed and wiped out the dinosaurs and 90% of life on Earth 65 million years ago. The mosasaur was killed off then. That allowed other type of, animals, sea animals, I won't say fishes because a shark isn't a fish, but to be able to develop and thrive. Because if a megalodon went against a mosasaur, there'd be a good chance that the mosasaur would probably win. So the mosasaur ruled the seas until it was destroyed and wiped out, and then later it became the megalodon ruled the seas. And either one I wouldn't want to mess with. But These are actual mosasaur teeth. Now, I've had mosasaur jaws where it had all the teeth lined up. Now, what you get in this deal is a set of 2. So I'm not going to say, I'm just going to let the Christie keeper pick which 2, but I'm going to tell her to, try to match them up probably. So to me, it looks like these 2 might go together and those 2 might go together. And then these 2, this happens to be like the longest and sharper pointed one. And this is a neat hook one. So you get 2 that are just kind of unique to each other and sharper and more pronounced than the others. These all have good enameling, and okay, I'll do this because I takes too much time to put them all back together, but the lovely Raven will do it. You can see that you have the entire fossilized part of the tooth, including the center, and you can see on the other side that all of these are completely natural. Okay, any kind of little nicks, just accept that. These are 65 million years old. Okay, so yeah. Speaking of teeth, how do you think one might look to replace the one I need? I tell you what, anymore, I'm about ready for it to get one. But you can see what I like to think when I see these little damaged or imperfections, let's say, on the tooth, tells me the tooth was used. Which is neat. What did it bite? Maybe for that to occur. So rather than it just being something that happened in the fossilization, a boy's mind will think of something more terrifying than that for the damage to occur. But look at this. So wonderful, wonderful natural enameling left still on those. And these are natural, and they have not been repaired. So that's the other good part. So a set of 2, and so there's 3 different sets. And I tell you what, per pair, and in the great shape these are. So per pair, only $24 a pair. $24 a pair for 2 of them, and they're approximately an inch. And as opposed to others, let me just say that these are hand-picked. In other words, there's so many others that, for different reasons we won't get into right now, enameling, shape, rebuilt portions of it, which is easy to be done with epoxy, etc., etc. You might find something less expensive. You get what you pay for, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So coming from me, that was going to be a great deal, especially at that price. All right, now let me see what we have coming up next for you. I am going to get to the tail of the geode here, but first, let me show you something here, if I can find everything that I had out here. Here we go. So since we were showing those quartz, let's look at item 1264825. 1264825, and this is good where it is. All right, quartz, a really, really interesting quartz cluster. Look at this. See how flat that is, and parallel to that. So it makes it almost like it could be a display stand. I mean, for something else, to display something else off of. You know what I mean? I mean, think out of the box to be creative if you want to use it for that purpose. If not, let me show you what attracted me to this. It was the near 90-degree additional crystal that is remember when you think about that, most quartz crystals, a lot of them all align themselves in roughly one particular direction. Even the geode, they all point inwards, right? This, for the crystallization, for it to be that much in an opposite direction is kind of unique and unusual. Also, the clarity, great clarity on these others. And then look at this. This one looked like it was a twinned crystal. And it is. A twin is where a crystal shares the same side with another. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know what kind of twin they might call that, but it might be something real rare, which there are. There's rare type of twins that are more valuable than others. I did not check this one for anhydro, but it's always worth doing that for. And I was just checking to see other goodies about this. So there is all kinds of when you have something like this, things you can explore. Look for anhydros. Look for other inclusions down deep between crystals. Look for other unique formations overall. Like, so look at that. So I didn't notice until right now that actually does go all the way through. I say that because wouldn't that be neat to put a little light there and it would light up the whole crystal? Here's a, let me see another. It's just really different in its appearance. I loved it. So Arkansas quartz is one of the most valuable quartz there are. 21 bucks. $21 on that. A deal. That is a super good deal. So let me put these back together for the Christie Keeper so she can kind of see what goes with what on the meg teeth. Okay. $21 on that. And again, even if you have some other quartz specimens, what makes a neat quartz display is to have lots of different specimens grouped together. That is then, especially if you want to mix in the smoky quartz, amethyst, etc., makes for a really neat opportunity. Okay. I am going to get something out and it's going to take a moment. So I'll be right back. This is not something you have seen me feature in a while. Now, I say this in a while because this color. Just a couple weeks ago, I had a Carat 59, if my memory is correct. Incredible Savorite garnet as well. And it was that lighter color, but really bright, had a little bit of the yellow color coming into it, giving it that really bright Savorite look that it's also well known for. Now, it may be well known for that, but when you are talking about the most valuable color for Savorite, you get into this color range. Now, I have had this stone for a long time. Yeah, there it is. I bought it in the 80s. And Campbell Bridges in 1967, the Scotsman, was the first person to actually discover. So think about that. I was born in 1961. In my lifetime, for someone to discover a deposit as valuable and massive as the deposit of a brand new gemstone that he found, how incredibly exciting could that possibly be? That tells you that still in our lifetime, remember those garnets from Belkis Mountain in Iran, they weren't discovered in the androdites until 2013. The iridescent Japanese rainbow garnets, those one-of-a-kind world-class pieces, weren't discovered until 2015. Yeah, 2015. Yeah, so or was it 2000? I'm getting mixed up. Or 2005. Either way, they were only available in mining for about 1 year. And then there were so many rockhounds that flooded the Tenkawa village that they outlawed it and then started arresting people because, it's tough to keep a rockhound away from a great deposit like that. So, in other words, it doesn't matter whether it's 2005, 2015, whatever it is, all these are recent still discoveries. There's still treasures out there waiting to be found, including more gold. All right, this piece, oval, native cut, so that's why it is cut a little lopsided and whatnot. Here is the story on the Saberites. I had a chance when I first opened my jewelry store decades ago. Look at that stone. To buy D block, true original D block Saberite. I mean, Tanzanite. Tanzanite. Yeah, I was able to buy the incredible Tanzanites. They were only $135 a carat. $135 a carat. And this is, they were easily $700 to $1,000 carat material. But here's the thing: they were native cut at the time, and it was necessary for the stones to be cut in the country of origin that they were mined. It makes sense. It kept the locals artisanal miners, and they trained and taught locals to cut. So it provided a income for the local people, putting money back into the economy, since the big companies were taking it out in the form of their resources in the gemstones. Well, so these Tanzanites I had a great opportunity to buy were so poorly cut that you could right out of the gate figure 50% loss. So if something was technically 135 a carat, double it right away because of the loss of weight in recutting. Then you have the cost of recutting. There should be, so in the end, yes, I could have come out okay, but it wasn't a guarantee. It didn't, if you cut one and it breaks, chips, cracks, doesn't look the way it should, it doesn't take much, and then you're just right back where you started. But in the end, after the Tanzanite market did what it did, we joked about, wow, if we only knew what we knew then and could have gotten in on it, the retail end of the $700 a carat kind of thing would have been great. So I say that because this was back in the same time frame, in the 80s. So the Savorite garnets being cut. Remember, many of them were from the Miralani, the same deposit, the Tanzanite deposit. These were found on the and named Savorite because they were named after the national park. These were found near the Kenyan and Tanzanian border, and these gems have just gotten more rare, especially the really, really great color pieces. So what they would have to do is they would just cut the gem to get it to be able to sell it and export it out of the country. And they didn't care much about the quality of cutting. Now, when you see one like this, you can't blame them. It could easily be recut to a much fiery, brighter stone, and maybe worth it, because what I'm offering it for allows you the value, because you're going to make money on the buy. You're buying it less than the market value. When I give you the price, that it might be worth it to recut it. But when I look at this overall, only when you look at it from the side and you start seeing some asymmetrical, faceting to it. But, I'm looking at it from a cutter side. So I'm much more critical. I think a lot of native cut stones are acceptable the way they are, and that one is certainly one as well. It would make a great stone to go with that other one to show the range of Saberites, because the price I have on this is a fraction of the kind of money that this color stone sells for now. Remember, this is an old stone, but since I have never learned how to make a fair retail price to be able to stay in business, it's going to be a good deal again for someone, and you're going to make money on the buy straight away. So, and especially since half the time I lose my paperwork after going through and trying to figure all this, and then I have to wing it and make it up on the fly anyway. So let's do this. Yeah, I remember how I priced this. I remember. This gem, again, why is it important to me? Because I've had this stone for decades. I bought it in the 80s. I've seen it. Remember. Why? Garnets. It's my birthstone. So that's why you see me having these garnets and me pulling these out over all these years. These neat special pieces. Price on this, $158. $158. And how I did that was at 200 a carat, which is super inexpensive. It would have been $164. I made it less than 200 a carat. That kind of color, expect 1,000 a carat would be easily in that realm. So what a value and bargain for someone. Let's look at the next item, which is a sapphire. It's item 1264625. 1264625. And you know, I always love stones that are special, have something special about them, even if it is just an inclusion. Yeah, I love inclusions. This one, let's check it out. I love to put one next to the other for a moment. Look at that. Look at the colors of nature. Natural colors, including probably this sapphire. Because it's party color, it may be unheated. Unheated. All right, so look at that. Look at that color blue. Oh, you need, there we go. That's perfect. You need the item number. Sorry about that, sir. Okay. Look at that. I dropped that at the perfect angle. Is that not amazing? This is another one. I bought this in 92. How I know that year and why you see 92 pop up, because it is the year that my son was 4 years old, and I got a divorce that year, and I took off 4 months of the year to get over it. Yeah, it didn't come from me. I was heartbroken, and the only way I knew to deal with it, the best way. And my son doesn't even remember me being gone, so it's not like I left him. Daddy came back. I took 4 months off out of the year and traveled to 6 continents. Well, 5. I'd already been to one. 6 continents, and went down in mines and bought gemstones around the world. And that is the way to cure yourself of almost anything you are ailing from, emotionally or mentally. That is a cure. The education that brought me was phenomenal. If that's making sound, I can move that. So in 92, I spent a lot of time in Kanchanaburi, Thailand, and a lot of time in Lightning Ridge. Yeah, out in Lightning Ridge, even operated the equipment down in the mines, and had a really great Australian dealer friend that was also involved with the British POWs that died building the Burma Railway that went through Thailand and Kanchanaburi on up to Burma, where I crossed into Burma at Three Pagodas Pass. That's another story. Anyway, during that time and in Australia, I was able to get in on some of these crazy, I love them, party color stones. And that's what they call them. Look at that. Look at that rim of yellow. This is where cutting becomes really important. And again, just like the stone Miss Barbara has, that has just that spot of blue at the bottom, making the entire piece blue. Same thing here, except what color does blue and yellow make when you mix them together? Green. And you're seeing that. You're seeing a little bit of the blending of colors, creating the color green in the end of that. This is a phenomenally, this could have been one of my edu gems, educational gems. So you could learn how important, again, cutting is. Where you locate the blue. Look at that. And if you cut it wrong and cut it the other way, you would have that line of yellow like you see going right through it. But instead, you don't know that there's any yellow in that gem at all. You don't know there's any shades of green. All you see is that valuable color blue. That's why if you take this stone and you bezel set it, you put it in a ring, no one is going to be the wiser as to the it having any other color but that expensive color blue. Now, because that when you look at it, if you look at it from the back, you can see where a bezel, it would totally disguise any kind of yellow that is in it due to how far up the blue comes. Look at wow, look at that from different ways. So the blue comes up far enough that a bezel will easily hide it. So that would be made to deceive, but they do that. Why? You wonder, well, why wouldn't they? I mean, it's a natural sapphire. Look at that. Look at that. And then look at it really. That is why that's such a fun stone and why I consider it a neat collector gem. That is a collector gem. Isn't that cool? Okay, so I'll take away this one, and so we can just focus on that party color jewel right there. How about this? I have a deal, $48. Only $48. If you look at it like that, carat 34, that's a $480 stone. Yeah, I mean, but the reality of it, and I kind of remember the range I paid. I paid what it was worth by looking at it loose, and I got a really good deal. And of course, this is '92, so this is more than 25 years ago. Wow, a lot longer. So everything has gone way up since then, and I'm pricing $48. I think I probably paid that then. That was not a right price. So that does not sell at that price. That's really stupid price, actually. No, no, that ain't right. I kind of spoke, but look at that. Look at that. Talk about the dichroic property. That's why this could be a edgy gem. You can look at this as a lesson in the dichroic nature by looking at it through different directions, how it can be a different color. That all has to do with the zoning of it, the placement of it. But that is pretty neat. That's why it is so educational to teach people about cutting, how not to be deceived and buy an expensive stone that you bought. And look at that. There you go. That tells you exactly there how much blue is actually in that gem. Less than half the depth. So you're looking at probably about a third of the depth is blue. The rest is not. And so many of you could go out and make what, not meaning the group of that are listening to me now, I mean the majority of everyone else. And they think they've made a great purchase, even if they make the purchase with the stone loose. But if it's not shown and just showed face up, they think they make a great purchase. Many people go for that quick sale. People get too lazy to return items, or if it's too cheap to be good, like in the case of mine, except then it usually there's an issue with it. Except for me, honesty is not my best policy. It often shoots me in the foot. I tell you what's wrong with the item. I show you what's wrong. And it's not what's wrong. It's, to me, for the reason I wanted it, it is one of the most desirable gems I could have for the lesson that it tells me, shows me, teaches me. And what it taught me was, don't buy gems looking at them just face up. Be able to, this is also why you hear, buy your gems loose, buy your diamonds loose. And you can see many reasons why. Look at that color and then look at the reality. But for a zone stone, it's a beautiful gem for the reason, for the educational reason. I just love it. Okay, now, speaking about educational reasons, I actually, since you're here, I will show item 1265325, and I believe that will be fine. I am getting ready to show you a phenomenal stone, and I mean that literally, because it is a phenomenon gemstone. Look at this. And many people hadn't even really heard of them much before. Cat's eye opal. Cat's eye opal. And let me actually take that off of there and do this, and then do this. And here we go. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah. Cat's eye opal. And then it has that classic eye. Look at that eye opening and closing. Look at that one. That's a beautiful eye. And if you look up, Latif, the good ones on these, like this, they are asking a lot of money for them. Look at that, a lot of money compared to, compared, when I did a what am I with this stone, how many of you said chrysoberyl? Exactly, because it does look so much like a chrysoberyl. Yes, sir, I shall. That would be item number 1265325. 1265325. And yeah. This is large, and there is okay. I go to my cheapy gem site that I say call it that I use for price referencing, and I was looking up their cat's eye opals, which they actually had some of, and they were horrible. Let me tell you why. The cat's eyes were almost non-existent, or there were multiple chatoyant lines. It wasn't like a single cat's eye, and they were of mixed and ugly colors. There were nothing like this. Is the classic color, the yellow Tanzanian cat's eye, and this is a large stone to be of this kind of quality, and completely natural. And as far as cat's eye opals go, Tanzania, this is really the only deposit large enough in the world to produce any stones that are cuttable and able to be sold into the market. This particular one I've had because it is, yeah, it's a nicer stone than almost any of the others I've ever had. There we go. Wow. 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 That is what it would look like more so as if it was in the sunlight. A single bulb, a single light source, and boy, that is one sharp eye. Look at that. Great job. Thank you, sir. Now, here's the other deal I have. The price. The price. It is really surprising that none of you actually got in on this before. This is the second time I'm showing it. And I'll make this last deal price on this because after that, remember, opal is my favorite gemstone of all. Not garnet, opal. It is also, though, besides that, my mother's birthstone and my son's birthstone. So very magical. And that one is one of my, I think it is my best opal cat's eye. Price on this, I will put it on sale since I showed it before, but it's not going to go any less than this ever. $32. Only $32 on that. And the Christie Keeper hadn't even heard of it before when it came through her desk. And I said, yeah, because I haven't had any to show in a long time. I remember when I got this, it was a parcel I had, and I picked that one out of the parcel. And I haven't been able to get anything that was decent to me. Now, yeah, there's some other stuff available out there, but it is, well, look, it's junk. Watch out for the multiple eyes because that is what you're going to see the most of is where it's not just one single eye that you saw in that piece. All right, now let me just put up a couple things here so I don't lose track and turn them over. Okay, now next I have look at this. Item one, I'll tell you in a moment. Okay, look at this. Look at this. This is what you've been waiting for. If you have wanted a world-class labradorite, look at that. Look at that. And then look at that mountain with the purple behind it. Yeah, that's the Aurora Borealis setting behind the mountain. Look at the even ridgeline. Hold on, I gotta get my pointer. This is cool. You can create, look at that. That's great. You can create a whole storyline. Look at it looks like mountaintops along here. And then the Aurora Borealis comes, either that or a nuclear explosion. No, Aurora Borealis comes and lights up the night sky and lights up the all along the mountaintops there. And now let's see if we flip this over, what we have. Look how the scenery changes. So we have that upside down, but let's see if this is a double-sided piece. Maybe we're looking at the backside. Whoa, look at that. That has nothing but purples. Remember, different directions because this is forms lamellarly. So you'll get different looks from different angles. And then this one, wow. Wow, that is a powerful look. And let me put this on a stand. Let's get that angle right for the stand. Should we do the Aurora Borealis angle? Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. That's a beautiful large piece, a great display piece. or what they call a palm stone. A lot of people, these are actually made to fit in your palm. They go in your pocket. So you know, if you're track the metaphysical properties of stones and put them in your pocket for different reasons, or wear them for different metaphysical reasons, well, that is why they make them for your pocket and make sizes for your pocket. For also those of you that want to pick up and have the metaphysical properties of labradorite that are associated with it, and have it close to you. So I don't know what those are, but those of you that track and are into the metaphysical realm of gems, oh, yep, sorry about that, and minerals, this is a wonderful piece to have. Item number 1272525. 1272525. And I tell you what, and congratulations to the person that got that. You know that big moonstone the other week, Latif? Yeah. That real big one with that incredible blue and yellow across it? That one sold to someone had to be very savvy and really know and realize just what a bargain that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gem was. Yeah, that I gave away. Exactly, that I gave away. Here in this one, 245 carats. Here's the opal. 245 carats. Well, I was actually had to look because I hadn't priced this kind of stuff in a while, and I was, of course, shocked. So $1 a carat would have been inexpensive. So a stone like this. Oh, by the way, purple is the rarest and most valuable color for labradorite. And you know, I thought, well, $245 would be certainly fair. Let me show you the other side of this again. And I thought, no, you know what? I want to show you just look at the purple on the other side. It is magnificent. So anyway, I just like the Aurora Borealis look. I know. Yeah, look, you know what? That is blue showing up almost without light. It almost like it was glowing, almost like it was phosphorescent. Oh, look at that. That is cool. Price on this? Again, like, remember, moonstone is a type of, well, a lot of people call it oligoclase feldspar, but you can find the adulorescence in other feldspars as well. And this called labradorescence in labradorite is a type of plagioclase feldspar. So in the feldspar family, just a little different chemically. And moonstone, the prices of moonstone have skyrocketed. I mean, beyond, well, I always knew it could be really valuable. I sold a $10,000 one, if you can, I wish everyone could have seen that a number of years ago in the live show, and I wish I had it back. This gem I've made only $122. $122. So that's 50 cents a carat. That's a price I couldn't go to the market and get one for. Let me show you. In case you're trying to make a decision, 127-2425. 127-2425. I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to give you a choice of another labradorite. And this one is an amazing piece. Let me set that down for, okay, look at this, okay? Let me get my fingerprints off it. This piece, wait till you see it. Wait till you see it. Wait. Oh yeah. Oh, I love the freeform shape. And then wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. I know, I'm waiting too. Wait. I'm trying to mesmerize everybody. You can see my fingers behind it, so you can see just how translucent this is. Is there anything there? We're waiting. Whoa, there's one wave of it. There's one wave of incredible. Oh, look at that. Look at the purple. Look at the purple. And look how that purple, it just is, as we turn it, it's like the sun setting across there. And if I just angle it a little bit this other direction, look, there we go. See that? I made it go away. Made the purple go away and made it all yellow. And then, look at that. Look at that. And then, yeah, there we go. And boom. that's what's so magical, truly, I think, about uh, not even precious gems, semi-precious gemstones that have these properties. How cool is that? Look at that. Yeah. So I just start off at any angle. I don't know where we're going to wind up as far as if that's better compared to the rest, worse. I love the freeform shape. I love the translucency. And let's keep playing with this and see just how far we go. Look at this from this other angle. Look at that. Look at that. Now let's check out the other side we're going to see in just a moment. But right now, let's keep exploring this side for a moment. This piece could be drilled, and I'll drill it for free on this one, either end if you want. Just tell the sales rep. Yeah, just let me play. Let me try something. Look at that. There we go. The sales rep that you want a work order for it to be drilled. I get so involved in watching these on the huge monitor I don't get to see at home that I forget my what I was saying. Look at that. Look at that. The purple that came out in this side, this is still the same side we've been looking at. And so different lighting. Okay, so I'm gonna hold it right there. Let me put this light on and see what happens. Ah, a different color in it. Look at, so that matters. Now let's flip this over and see what we have here. Wow, look at that striated pattern, which is really fun and different and unique. And then let's go this way with it. Wow, that is what makes labradorite one of the very sought after semi-precious, look at that, gems, and lots of purple in this. I was at someone's home. I don't even forget who, because I don't go many places, but I was looking at their countertop, and all of a sudden I started looking at it, and it wasn't a labradorite countertop, but it had I guess adulorescent different crystals of moonstone in it. So it was really neat because they hadn't noticed it before. I said, well, get at certain angles, and I had them turn their heads, and then they started looking at all around at the other ones because they just had to rotate their heads in different places to be able to see what I saw right away. Now, let me see if I can get that pictured. Oh, and it's fun. The sunlight is amazing. Raven and I were sitting. Oh yeah, thanks. At the cocktail table, and all of a sudden the sunlight came in, and she had sent me a picture before. Oh, there we go. That's pretty enough there. Of her smoky quartz skull with rutile needles in it, and the sun was hitting it just perfect, and the light reflected off those rutile needles like little lasers, and it gave that skull a look like, let's say if it would have been $150, $200 skull, it looked like it was $1,000 skull. It just amped up everything about it, and it was a perfect moment. Now, with the sun passing over, it didn't last that long, which was great because it then hit the other minerals on the table and onwards, and it was an enjoyable moment that I actually hadn't seen that specimen before with the sun hitting it that way, and it was perfect. Okay, so here is another opportunity, and I have this one, basically $48, so around 50 cents a carat. What a super, super deal on that, and get both of them if you want. Yeah, grab them both. That is, again, these I've had for a long time, and they are of a high grade quality. And my other comment about this one I noticed was it has a really super high polish, to it. And I like the banding on it as well. And special piece. Okay. Now, let me pause for a moment here, and I'll be right back. Another have I never moment. Have I never offered 3 really cool thumbnail specimens together like this? Except I don't think that would be quite a thumbnail, but it is cool nonetheless. That is that amazing Vivianite that is has all these, look at these colors in it, blue and green. Look it up if you want to know all the other unusual things about it, found in graves and all due to the way the iron and phosphates will form. A very neat educational piece to own. And then some of the finest Brazilian tangerine quartz. It is quartz with hematite coloring it like that. And this would actually make a wonderful wire wrap piece, or again, a small thumbnail for your collection. And then this, look at this neat little vanadinite. Wonderful, wonderful addition to a collection if you don't have one. Because you know what? All three are $18. Yep, $18 for all three. That's how you know I wanted to show you something really fun. Let me show you item number 127-2225. 127-2225. And we were just talking about this item a little bit ago. And I'm good. Check this out. Your rainbow moonstone. Your rainbow moonstone. Look at that. Wonderful blues. You got a nice dome. You have yellows in this as well. And again, this could, I had all these different stones like this in nice qualities to be able to make unusual, unique, custom pieces of jewelry for. But my life ran out. I mean, I had decades and decades of things. Now, remember, I started collecting things for, as a teen. Into my 20s and 30s, I got a lot of gemstones for future projects. Well, decade after decade went by where I just added to the number of items I had for projects, but didn't get all the projects done because life happened. And it ended up having to, I made projects, I made jewelry, but they couldn't be for my own stock. I was always so busy creating pieces that had already been, quote, sold, or had to create for the client first. So anyway, I'm selling off some of these now, and this is one of them. This is a really neat, high quality piece. Has wonderful yellows in it as well. And I am making that one a deal. $12, $12. Now, throwing in along the way here, I have item number 1209224. 1209224. And check this guy out. Look at this. Your Macesso chocolate opal, collector specimen from the 90s. And if you look at this, you see how the opal goes all the way through. Let me get actually a little water I keep just for that purpose. And look at that. Yeah, so basically this entire piece is opal. And as a matter of fact, the piece that Chuck got last week, this one might even work better for him because he was wanting to carve it. Sorry, I got my light messed up. Yeah, and so anyway, look at this one. So you have some wonderful fire. But basically, if nothing else, what a great specimen. The Macesso opal is what gave Ethiopian opal a bad rap to start with, because that is the material that crazed and cracked. Not all of it. A lot of pieces I have it since then, but originally, yes. So when the Wellow fields were discovered, of course, the Ethiopian opal as we know it now, everyone was afraid that it would craze and crack. No, instead, it absorbed and dissipated water like a sieve, and without any damage to the opal, except change in the weight, which was pretty amazing. So now these old chocolate opals, they're the ones, it's like on a black opal. Look at the intensity of the colors you get versus if it was on a white background. So these are really neat little collector pieces now. And to give you an idea, you can have something like that that's still cuttable for $18. Yeah, $18 on that one. Now, a little jewel. Let me give the raven here the parts to. Now, next I have a educational moment, and again, something you might not be familiar with for the Vivianite is no item number to this, so we can just leave this as it is. What I'm going to show you, being that August is coming up, it's a perfect moment to learn a little bit about peridot. Let me just take this. Peridot. And peridot has been around for a long time in history. Actually, let me put that on it white. Excuse me. Okay, here we go. That's what I want to show you. Peridot has been around for a long time in history, going back. One of the original deposits was an island in the Red Sea, and has a steep history to it. A lot of people call it the space stone, but it's really not. A type of olivine is associated and found with Esquali stones that I've had amazing, meteorite pieces before, and then again, so it's associated for that reason. But peridot itself never makes it unless you get a piece of the meteorite that comes through. So any other peridots actually have nothing to do with space, except that their family member, olivine, is found in some meteorites. But the way it's often pitched is like peridot is the space stone. Well, no, forget all that. All right. Most importantly, a wonderful deposit found in the reservations out in west, and then the Chinese deposits are the ones that are very prevalent and some of the least valuable stuff. Now, the main thing you need to know if you have a batch of peridot is peridot has iron in it. The more iron in it, the more yellow is in it. And so therefore, what is one of the best ways to separate an item with iron that is magnetic is to take a magnet to it. Okay, we have some luck there. Let's see. Okay, those are, that one seems to be, that one is, uh-oh. Well, we're going to set that one aside. Let's see about some of these others. Oh, okay, there, that one wants to come along. That one wants to come along. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, how long would it have taken for you to put those on a refractometer and test every one? This is batch testing. This is when, if you're going to deceive your client, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. You throw in 1 or 2 fake stones into, let me just gather these up. You're going to see this in a minute. Not everyone checks all the stones, right? In a parcel. They go with a dealer and they don't check the stone. They trust them. All it takes is a few percentages of a difference in weight. Sorry for my hand there. And you make 10% more on your sales, 20%. If you are the kind that your mind is tilted towards deceiving people, it's called salting the parcel. You salt the parcel with the fake stuff. Most of it's going to be genuine, but the fake ones slide in because the person buying it isn't going to test every one. Or can they? Yes, they can. If they're buying peridot, you saw how quickly that went. Look at how they all look alike. Look at that. Could you have been able to tell which one was not without doing what I did? No, it would have taken time. Instead, it took seconds with a simple magnet. An N52 neodymium magnet is the official magnet used for gemology. And go with that. These others are all natural. Actually, some really nice stones in there. But that one's the slider. And let me tell you, that's how I got this parcel. That was in the parcel I got. Yep. But I did not pay for it. I did not pay for it. This was a well, I did, I guess, in a long-about way. It was a parcel with a batch of estate of other stones. So whether that person got taken and didn't know it or where, but it happened somewhere along the line where it was put in there to deceive because it was the only stone. I didn't put that together. That's the way I got it. It was the only stone in there, and so that always upsets me. So I want to ruin it for those others that try to take advantage of those that don't know. There still needs to be a trust in this business. Yes, it is darker. The best peridot is that color. This actually, in case anyone wanted to know, this is actually a Burma color. This stone is more of, if you ever wondered, compared to the most common, which is this, more of the Chinese yellow green. When you get this color, that is good job for Latif to point that out. This is that little bit darker color tone, but it's the more valuable color tone. So it might be actually the stone that might encourage you to buy the parcel, let's say. Say, oh, there's one good stone in there. It'll make up for any of the bad stones. That kind of offsetting is how, we will do stuff when we buy a mixed parcel. So, but that was made to deceive and to fool people. So, okay, now that said, I have not shown a diamond parcel in a while. 117 47 24. 117 47 24. And let me see if I can show this easily enough because I have it kind of wrapped up funny because of diamonds can go everywhere. Now I've done those parcel displays for you before where I've opened the diamond paper and how I've showed you how to do it correctly. I actually made, it looks like these little parcel papers so you could actually see the diamonds in them and the color. So this is against super, super white paper, true white. And that's the only way you can really grade diamonds. So what you have in here is a mixed lot of rounds. They're 1.8 to 2.1 millimeters. And very white. So hold on, let me set those to the side because there's another one here. Okay, these are, and don't necessarily go by the color because of course lighting is a little bit tricky as we have shown you. Here is another parcel and these are to the same batch. Hold on, 1.8. I hope if not, you're going to get them anyway. All right, so this is another. Wow, these are all some really nice, round, well-cut goods. And let's see what it says on this batch of them. I'm not so sure. Let's see. So there's 9 2.1 millimeters, 37 point total weight. Here, VSFG. So some really nice goods. And then these are going to be, let me see what it says on there. Because you have 53 points. I just want to see if, and 37 adds up to 90. Yeah, you get both these parcels. Holy crap. That's a bad word. Okay, so these are really nice goods, really nice clarity. And wow, that's it, without taking a lot of time, that's as much as I can give you an idea of show. So 1.8 to 2.0 there, and then you have 9 here of, these are matching, that's right. These came out of one parcel. Now, if they're a little bit off in color, then from what I said, forgive me, but let me just do something here. Let me just dump those out and let me show them. Look at that. You can see that these are some really, really nice white goods. There, as we show them to you on their side, better than in that parcel. It wasn't showing them as white as they are. You can see they're nice, really white goods. So take advantage of them. I don't have that many diamonds. They're all full cut. Look at that. Look at the clarity of these. These are earth mined diamonds. This isn't any of that lab grown, well, words I could use that I won't. Destroyer of the diamond industry, lab grown diamonds. Yeah, not much. So earth mined, and that's if you can add that to the description, Latif, that would be great, so that we get a screenshot of that. Natural? Yeah, natural earth mined. Yeah, because you know what they're doing with the lab grown? They're still calling them natural because technically, chemically, they're natural. And that's how they're getting away with that part of it. And that's why I started using earth mined, because there's nothing else that can describe earth mined except, yeah, there's no lab grown diamonds coming out of there. So here is 90-point total weight, full cut, beautiful, beautiful opportunity. And I know there's some of you out there that have really gotten and bought every one of these I've had, and you probably want to take advantage of this opportunity also, because this is going to be the end of, you know, earth mine diamonds may become extinct if as time goes on. So with 90-point total weight, if I had to replace these in the size that they are, it would be an amazing deal at $500 a carat. That's wholesale. That'd be $450. How about this? Yeah, thanks. Earth mine. Perfect. Perfect. How about this? If I offer those at a price of less than $200 a carat, I'm going to make those only $175. No, you know what? Move them. $158. $158. Do the math. I don't even know how much a carat that is. It is what, 160 something dollars a carat. Wow, that is super, super inexpensive. And I tell you what, if they don't sell at that price, it'll never be less. And I probably actually won't offer them again. I just happened to run across those, and probably stupidly showing them. I would have done much better. Earth mine diamonds, I mean, where's the price going to go? They can only go one direction when all the mines around the world are shuttering. They are closing up diamond mines right and left, unfortunately. It's putting a lot of people out of business. And if you think buying lab-grown diamonds is green, forget about it. The amount of electricity it takes for the reactors to produce a diamond, and they can grow a 1 carat diamond now, 1 carat diamond in a week. So yeah, and they're cranking them out like nobody's business. Look at these. What we have next for you, take a look at this. This is item number 1207924, 1207924, and here is a multi gemstone. Look at these stones. And I'll just go through these really, really quickly, because at the price I'm selling them for, I think most of you could probably figure out what they are, and that's the way I should probably have you do it. But I'll go through and see if there's any that you might not know. So, of course, this is why you need a magnet. The first thing you can do is you can separate out your almandine garnets, right? There's your almandine. Is that a real peridot? Yeah, that peridot is moving. There we go. Beautiful, well-cut peridot. Yep, those are moving right along with the magnet. So you have a garnet. Look at that. What is that that's sticking to the magnet and is yellow? If we were doing trivia, that would be a trivia question. All right, so there we have garnets. You have genuine peridot. You have, I'll tell you what the stone is. What stone is that color and would stick to a magnet? Spessartine garnet. Manganese is magnetic, and that color range, that would be a spessartine. So you have blue topaz, unless you're lucky, and I made a mistake and put aqua in there, but I don't know, I didn't test them. There's a white topaz, you have citrine in here, another white topaz. Yeah, here's this one stone is probably worth a parcel. Look at that, that's a sapphire, genuine sapphire. inclusions in that. That could be an aqua. Look at that heart shape. That probably is an aqua. And I tell you what, that better not be a Sabarite. Yeah, this better not be. And then citrine's here. Okay, so all of those goodies. 20 carats. 20 carats. So how about this? Crazy discounted opportunity. All of those make it $24. I kid you not. $24. Yeah, I know. The price does not make sense. But I had it at like $36 and nobody bought it. So what's the difference? 36 is just cheap. Ridiculously cheap. So sometimes I don't understand. Oh, here's the bag for those. All right. Now, let me show you since I talked about it. Just take a moment here, Latif. We're going to do the. Yep, ready? We're going to do it. Here, we're going to put it together. Here it comes. Here it comes. We have the Galena geode story. The Galena geode story. It has become an infamous tale of deceit, stupidity, and how bad you can rip off a knowledgeable Westerner. Okay. This is a classic, typical sugar geode. Remember, we've sold it before, but they have just the white quartz in them, right? And they're from Morocco. And that is standardly, if you're lucky, what you find is some really nice quartz. If you're unlucky, you find a unattractive botryoidal formation on the inside that really has nothing going for it. Very few rockhounds would even be attracted to it, even though it's a split geode. It just, they can be found that way. All right, what do you do with those? I was in Morocco, and I was, long story very short, for 4 days, leaving from Spain. And so we left our primary items in the rental car in Spain, and we took the ferry across and then got a driver to drive in Morocco. So we only had a day bag to carry for 4 days. And my day bag was about half the size of a lady's normal size purse. It was really small, really small. Probably no more than maybe 12 inches by 10 inches. And I crammed in everything I could in there. I get to Chef Shawn. It's this little town high up on the side of a mountain ridge. You have the Reef Mountains and the Atlas Mountains. And high up on the ridge, walked up there. Okay. I don't know how they did any business because I saw no Westerners, only local people. And we were followed by throngs of the locals trying to, get you to buy something. But anyway, found a rock shop. Yeah, couldn't believe it. Went in the rock shop. I was so excited. Rocks. I saw geodes, several of them. And they had what I recognized to be galena. Look at that. Look at that. Those are stunning natural galena crystals. Now, in not having ever heard of galena crystal geode before, I was really doubtful. So I, of course, always had my loupe, and I started looking at it really closely. And I started to look and follow the breakage line, like right along here. And I said to myself, well, if there's any galena that is inside the breakage line, like here and other places, well, that wouldn't be normal. It would be fake. Look along this breakage line. It is perfect. There are no crystals that have grown into this outer rind. Okay, but I was still doubtful. So I was looking at this really carefully for any other imperfections in it, and didn't see any. Okay. Now there's another half to this. and I'm going to show it to you. Here's the other half to the geode. And look at this. You had stalks, crystal, like just like you would find crystal stalks sticking up in the geode. You had that perfect edge again on the other side. Look at those natural crystals, and it's heavy. I knew it was galena. So we got back to the, oh, here's $15 a piece. I still remember the whole thing. The American dollars. You know, we're in Morocco. $15 a piece he wanted. And there were 6 of them. And I wanted all of them. But I was not going to pay $15 each. I negotiated and I negotiated. I got him down. Now, remember, this is a lead ore, galena, lead ore. And each one is heavy. And I have this little tiny day bag. But I wasn't thinking about that. I negotiated down, and I felt like I came away just skinning that guy's hide at $3 a piece. Now remember, that is natural. If you do not negotiate, they really think you're a fool. Yeah, from $15 down to $3, I thought I was doing really good. The feeling I have now is, as soon as I walked out the door, that guy started laughing, and he's not stopped yet. He has been laughing for, well, since 1992, because I negotiated what I thought was a great price, you know, walking away with something I've never seen before, and I was going to make a lot of money and have something really special in the United States. So I carry around 6 lead ore geodes in my little bag. It was the very first day. So for the other days, I had to carry around all that weight in my day bag. Get back to the United States, and I'm talking with a buddy of mine, and he has a friend who's a Moroccan mineral dealer. So he gets on the phone with his Moroccan mineral dealer, and he said, tell your friend to walk over to the kitchen sink. So we're like on a 3-way thing here. He said, run the hot water. I ran the hot, he described exactly the geo to me, but the guy didn't say anything. He just was telling me to do these steps. I ran the hot water. He goes, now, tell him to run it and put it under the sink, but do it with a plate underneath it. Well, my friend told him, but there's stalks sticking up on it even. There's stalks, these are crystals growing. He goes, run it under the hot water. I ran it under the hot water, and I should have the one that I did. It washed these crystals out like they were sand. It was done with the cheapest glue. What is it? Elmer's glue, which is water heat soluble. Yes. It, you know, and he was at least told me to use a plate because they would have jammed up my disposal. Yeah. And clogged the sink and made a whole mess. Instead, all I heard was clink, 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 as all the lead crystals landed on the plate. Now, here's the best part. The part that really fooled me was the stalks, the crystals growing up, right? So when we mentioned it to him, he said, this was before we ran the hot water because I only did it on the one half. He goes, run the water over the end of this, just the end of the stalks. And I did. If you could, toothpicks. These are toothpicks sticking up. They glued galena crystals to toothpicks and glued them in there. Shawn was scammed to the highest level. Yes. I was taken hook, line, and lead. Look at that. Look at that. This is a lesson I tell on myself because if I look at the edge. Look at the edge. It's perfect. You know the amount of time it takes to do that, to glue every one of these in, to create those clusters and then put them in there. You can see the wood. You can see the wood right there. I still say it with a squeak in my voice because I'm embarrassed every time I tell the story, but it is a lesson that needs to be told, and it was a lesson I needed to learn. Now, mind you, this is 30 years ago. That lesson has stuck with me ever since, that no matter how much you think you know, there is someone that will know enough to deceive you. So here's my take on it. When I got these for $3 a piece, thinking I was making a lot of money. When I traveled around Morocco, one of the biggest things I saw was idle labor. on every kind of like turn in the road where you have a metal guardrail. There were people just sitting, just watching the cars go by, watching life go by. So my take on it was, and there's little kids that break up a chiclet box and are out in the street selling you one chiclet at a time to make an extra penny. My take on this is there was so much idle labor that at the beginning of a day, if someone starts with nothing and they do and make one of these in the entire day and get 50 cents for it, let's say, they're 50 cents better off at the end of the day than they were at the beginning. Because if they hadn't done something like this, they would have made nothing. So that is what told me that, yes, they can actually make these for any price they want, because a nickel, a dime, a quarter is more than nothing. And that's what they would have wound up with. The labor this took, as far as American labor, this is hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not almost impossible patience-wise. Phenomenal. And you know how long it takes to follow this edge perfectly. They didn't know they were dealing with someone as wise as I was. A regular person or tourist would have never thought twice about checking the edge, but they did it to perfection. They fooled me. And I have 5 more others if anyone wants. I'm embarrassed to this day every time I tell a story, but there's a lesson to be learned, and I learned that lesson, and I never will forget it. All right. With that said, let me show you a real geode. Item number 123, 6124. 123, 6124. And that is going to get you. Check this out. Yeah, they were all like that. They were all that good, and not all of them had the stalks. So they were just, which would be natural. You wouldn't have all of them like that. So absolutely, and I felt so proud of scamming him. I shouldn't even say that. Of buying him. I thought I was getting the better of him, and he skinned me like a cat. Just, yeah. And I'm not embarrassed to say that, because it's like, wow, clever. They got one over on me, man. They got one over on me. So, yeah. But the worst thing was, if he actually knew, that's what he'd be laughing about, that I coated lead ore around his country, Morocco, for 4 days. That bag got heavy. Look at this oconite. Look at these oconites. And the oconite's, of course, type of zeolite. And this is really a rare combination to have oconites within an amethyst geode. And if you look at the amethyst, you can actually see phantoms in it, different layering of color. There's actually a lot of different things to discover in the amethyst. I haven't explored that creatively, because you have kind of a bicolor to a lot of them. The oconites is what really attracted me to the piece and makes it as special as it is. And I have a huge discount on this now as well, marking it down to only $128. And let me just show you by way of my hand how big this is. It doesn't come with the stand, so you can come up with your own stand for it. But look at that. And look at the beautiful amethyst in here. So this is a really unique collector piece for the fact of the oconites. Oconites, you just don't commonly see that in there. So that is a fantastic addition. Only $128 on that. Only $128 on that. And we only have a few minutes left with you. So let me see. So since we were featuring labradorite earlier, let me show you item number 123 8624. 123 8624. I have a fantastic piece here for sale. And wow, look at that. Look at the colors in that. Excuse me, move that out a little bit. Look at the colors in this. It is chock full. And of course, if you have a diamond saw, you could saw it up and make a lot of other slabs, layers of color. Wonderful. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. 123 86.24. 1, 2, 3, 86.24. And let me know the last price on that. You can actually say it out loud. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 86.24. $238 on that. Okay, I told you I was going to sale price it, and I am. Was it really? I was going to say. I thought that was a little high on that end, but and why does it? Well, bless his heart, bless his ever loving heart. Latif trying to make me a little toothy money. $138 only on this. Wow, that's a fantastic price. And right now, I'm gonna price it where I'm going to lose money because I just want to sell this piece. And let's make it $98. $98, and that is really the bargain of the show there. Now, with the extra moment or so I have, yeah, that's a neat piece. I'll show that another day when I have some more time to feature it. Let me, what is, no one wanted my amazing antigerite ring, which I couldn't believe that really high quality serpentine and silver. Oh, which reminds me. So yeah, let me show you this. Item 1272625. 1272625. Now this next item, I tell you what, I don't know. This is from an old style craftsman of Anna King. She's our silver designer. We haven't gotten any items from her in quite some time, but I had some items left over that I had hung on to. And what her artisan does is he takes actual coins. This was a 5-cent piece. This was a buffalo nickel. And out of that nickel, he actually carved that horse design in it. Now, if you remember, the buffalo nickel has a buffalo on one side and a I believe it was Indian head, yeah, on the other side. So this is the buffalo nickel wasn't silver, but the rest of the ring, look at this, is sterling silver. You can see AKJ for Anna King Jewelry. And if you are an equestrian, like horses, and want a one-of-a-kind piece, here it is. Right there, United States of America, the nickel. After this, with the cost of price of silver, I'm not so sure that I won't. I don't know. I can melt it down here if it keeps going at whatever rate that it is, because I am making this one. Yeah, so as simply as low as it could possibly be. Let me see if I do that. $77. Anna King would have my head. Yeah, I know it should be $77 on that one. I know. I appreciate you as my chief financial officer there. You would probably have saved me from. Okay, what? And let's see here. We have. Oh yeah, let me show this. Just yeah. This was one. If this is fun. This is one for everybody, I think. Yeah. All right, check this out. Check this little guy out. All right, so it comes actually, look at this. In this box, it is item number 1152524. 1152524. So, Rainbow Garnet, the Kaus Mine, Tenkawa Nara Prefecture. The mine is extinct. It has been closed. Yeah, it was 2015, and yeah. Closed 05. So that's why I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember which decade it was. Okay, so they were first discovered in 04, and by 05, the mine was closed, and it was near a magnetite mine. Look at these crystals. Look at all these little crystals. This is one of the rare leftover last one of the of the clusters. So let's just zoom in on some of these for the last moment here. Look at the iridescence on these faces. And this is just one really unique little cluster left. that I had that would be affordable. These clusters would be, you know, real expensive when they're the big crystals you can see on the bottom. This is just has some of that goopy stuff on it that I don't like. But you can see, look at that, that it is really all the way around. So it's a really nice thumbnail. And if you don't have one, especially with the labeled box and all, because I am going to offer this whole piece. You're going to love it. Everyone's going to love it. Ready, set. I should keep the box at least and put something else in. $28. $28. No, 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 no. I actually checked it. No radiation from this guy. So only $28 on that one as a towards the end of the show special. And let me see. I know you got to go, so we're going to last item right now. Oh, okay. All right. That sounds good to me. First, indeed. Ah, yes. So let's show you. You're going to love these. I had used these in a demonstration regarding garnet. Item 1229824. 1229824. What I'm going to show you now is extremely rare to find this color anymore. And it looks so much like natural hessonite garnet or even specialty. Look at these Brazilian Madeira citrine, world class. Now, let me show you. Here is perfectly what I wanted to show you, the zoning. The difference in the color. See that on the back side of that facet, there's difference in the coloring? That is how you can tell that you have a natural quartz. And you can see that zoning right there. That is really important. Look at that rich color tone of this. You know, I have seen Madeira in this color ranges selling for 75 to 100 a carat. Look at that. Look at why, because it looks so much like a spessartine, you know, Mandarin spessartine. Beautiful. This is really old material. Yeah, wouldn't it make a great pair of earrings? A great pair of earrings, or a ring and a matching pendant. Two beautiful stones that, yeah, that you just so hard to find in the market anymore. And you can see the zoning in that one just enough to tell you that you got the real deal here. I have a real deal of a price for those. 4.42 carat. Yeah, so the lowest I have ever offered on these is going to be right now, and that is going to be, wow, less than 10 a carat. Make it $42. $42, less than $10 a carat on those. Phenomenal opportunity. Phenomenal opportunity. As I go through some special pieces here, I have another one. This is item 1252925. 1252925. And I am doing some crazy last moment sales. Okay, look at these two. This is what's so cool. And I had done a demonstration, again, going back to how to tell certain items apart from others without having fancy equipment. So isn't it amazing just how close these are in color tone? Look at that to these. You know, look at that. Well, okay, what do? Let's check. Let's look at the magnet. Citrine, nothing. Let's check these. Bam! Not only drag, but a pickup response. It can only be one thing, right? The manganese. Manganese, 2+ valence. Look at that. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, a simple, I think that magnet cost me like $3. A simple magnet versus a $1,500 refractometer or whatever other equipment, and then you're still pondering, I don't know, because remember, specialty garnet goes beyond the limits of a refractometer. Once it goes past 1.81, Yeah, then you don't know that. So I just showed you a method that even gemologists don't use, and it is shocking and surprising. But yeah. But that's what you get for a very expensive education sometimes. They don't look at what is practical, what is available without spending huge amounts of money on equipment when a UV light, a magnet, and a couple other inexpensive tricks will work just fine for you. All right, those two beauties, ready, set for a amazing opportunity on these as well. They were already super inexpensive, and now remember how expensive this material is. I certainly know. So don't. And the value of these items aren't what I'm pricing them at. The value is well beyond that. Just remember, these things I've had for decades, many of them, and I don't know my cost basis. I just make sure that what I sell them for is less than what you could find those anywhere else for. And that would mean that I'm offering these two stones that are 88, wait, 88 round. Oh, and 5, yeah, they're two different sizes. Okay, right. So that's the total weight. Okay, so how about this? Price them for only, Shawn, say something, $38. $38 for both stones. And again, the value, that does not represent the actual value. That just represents me seeing if anyone actually recognizes just how good of a deal that is. Look at those gems. Also, they're great for that price, educational gems, because you get to see the type of inclusions. You get to see the reaction of manganese on a magnet. You get to see how they look in a refractometer if you have one, if they do go over the limit. So again, for not a lot of money, you can obtain a very educational tool. Now, this next item, I think, is and I'm going to check right here. Okay, let me see. All right, so what I have next, this is a rare crystal, item 117 1024. 117 1024. Check this out. A cerussite. Cerussite, the lead carbonate crystal of the world. And so it's heavy. It is heavy, as you would expect. Isn't that wild? How can you have galena, right? So galena, the lead ore, and it looks like lead. How can lead combine with CO3, carbon, oxygen, to end up looking completely non-metallic and like that? That things like that is what really is still fascinates me. Is there's lead in it. It's supposed to be lead in there. But where's the lead? You don't feel it. But I tell you what, you go to pick it up and it's heavy. So you have some very interesting, look at that, etching of the crystal. Cerussite is known to form cyclic twins. And this is a very educational piece. There's a little interesting green there. So kind of curious as to what that is. This is Namibian. And what is that neat little? Oh, oh yeah, so there's some other crystal growth in that direction. So I have this. This is a hardness of 3, 3.5. Latin cerussa means white lead. So that's kind of cool. And price on this. Let's find it at home. $18. $18. So I wanted to make sure in this show that we showed everyone some really good pricing opportunities. And one more item for you, 119 3424. 119 3424. And this will Look at this. Look at this. This is one of the rarer crystals I've ever found. Australian, and it's yellow. Yellow. A yellow sapphire. Now, I thought, because you see the way the light reflects on the top here, this is one that if no one buys this, I'm going to see if this cuts a yellow star. Can you imagine a yellow star sapphire? I've never seen one. I've never seen one. But it has some of that chatoyant reflection there, and on that, there might be a star in this. Let me show you what this looks like from the side. So this is, look at that yellow. There's, yeah, layers of yellow. Layers of yellow, so have to work within that, but that can be expected. Yeah, it's just a really unique stone, and I think that I could, removing the bottom portion and whatnot, develop a greater translucency to it, and bring out more of the yellow. It's a heavy crystal, 16.64 carat. It is a really, it's Kings Plain, Arawata, New South Wales, Australian material. Very collectible, if no other reason. So if you cut, this would certainly be one that would be tempting. But as a crystal collector also, look at that, 6 sides. That's a tough one. Yeah, that's a great piece for a crystal also. Price on this one, big discount on it, unfortunately. So I'm going to make it, if anyone is interested, being 16.64 carat, let's get it less than $3 carat, make it $48. $48 on that one. And with that, we'll call it a day. I'll be right back to say goodbye. All right, so another show down. You got to see Life of the Dumb and Embarrassed regarding my Galena geode. And ever since then, I have kept, and Raven knows this, there is a pair of Galena geodes. Remember, I bought 6 of them. And they were all naturally broken like that, which I think is amazing how they do that. But I always kept them within sight of my bench, my desk, my office. They're always something, because I always want that reminder there that no matter how much you think you know, there's some out there that know more than you in the art of deception. And yeah, so when it's too good to be true, that was the other, all these sayings can apply, because Galena geode, wow, never heard of that before. Sounds good. $3. Oh man, that's beautiful. Oh, that can't be fake. Famous last words. Oh boy. So you can see my mind going back to that whole moment and negotiating with the guy. Like I said, he's still laughing, and I'm still telling the story on myself. Okay, take advantage of the items I showcased for you today. The new ones, the ones I deeply discounted, and we're going to have a lot more fantastic opportunities for you coming up. So make sure you make every show. Please continue to, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, and continue to watch the show, support the show, buy something every now and again, or as often as you can afford to, because I have no savings and I need teeth. But I found that, quit laughing. But I found that having started collecting, I won't use that I word, invest word, no, starting collecting at the young age that I did, that the amount of return I have gotten on my private collection over all these years has been substantial, to the point to where I have no regrets. I am glad I did not put it in any other market over all these years. I can't think of a better use for my hard-earned savings, starting off when cutting stones at young age. So yeah, I keep looking over that geode. It's like still telling me a story. And with that, I will leave it with all of you. thank you again so much for all your continued support. Please try to stay cool. We are baking in the heat here, as so many of you others are. Make sure you look in on the other elderly that you may know might be struggling with being able to stay cool in this kind of temperature. So, all right, grab up those items I featured for you, and if I see that you guys are buying them at those deeply discounted prices, I have more. But there's no sense in me taking the time to feature deeply discounted sale price items if you don't buy them even at that price. So, yeah, take advantage of me. Cheers. See you next week.